What's up, family? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be doing the second installment for the Why I Love series, and obviously it's going to be for my personal game of the year, Spider-Man 2. Dude, I remember playing the first Spider-Man for PlayStation in 2018. Remind you, I just started college, so I'm like sitting around with my boys, and we're literally waiting. I think it's like 11 o'clock at this point. We're waiting for the game to drop, looking at the timer countdown. It was such a great time, and obviously I couldn't do the same thing. Like, life changes. I couldn't do the same thing with 2, but man, when I got home, I was so hyped to play that game, and we're here to talk about just why I love it so much. Obviously, that's the point of the series. This is not a review series. This is not a critiquing series. I am purely here to talk about why I feel as though this game is amazing. So without further ado, let's get into it. First of all, I want to make it clear. It's going to be a spoiler-free section, real short. Well, not real short, but obviously the spoiler section is going to be much longer. I'd say much more in depth. So if you're afraid of spoilers, don't worry. We're not going to go into that territory yet, even though, everybody plays at their own pace. But this video comes out a couple months after the game has been out. So yeah, spoiler free and then spoiler. So let's get into why I love Spider-Man 2. So Spider-Man 2 is one of the greatest examples of a sequel that I've played in my 23, almost 24 years of life. When I look back at 2018 Spider-Man, I look back at Miles Morales Spider-Man, even the jump from those two games was phenomenal, I'd say, in my opinion, because you're going to Miles Morales, which is a smaller scale game, but it's just like so wonderfully done, so many upgrades. I really felt better playing Miles Morales than the 2018 Spider-Man game. But the jump, those two games combined, going to Spider-Man 2, in my opinion, is just such a drastic jump in quality. I love the story of Spider-Man 2. A quick synopsis of the story is, obviously, it's not a spoiler to say that Kraven is in town and he's hunting all these different superheroes and villains, and the symbiote comes into play and complicates the relationships between Peter Parker, Miles, MJ, and the newly returned Harry Osborn, who was, as you know, sick in the first game, and now he's better. And so all these things really come together quite well, I'd say. They connect quite well. So I was really happy about that. The story's great. The gameplay is, I think, the biggest area of improvement. Every piece of the gameplay is better. The combat, the traversal, the stealth. Not as much for the stealth, but it's there. And you can tell that this entire game was a labor of love with the upgrades to the story. Well, that's a matter of opinion. But the upgrades to the gameplay, which I generally don't feel like it's a matter of opinion. They put more effort into each section of the gameplay. A bigger map, more to explore, different ways of playing in different areas of New York. Better side missions that tell better stories. I'm not a side mission type of guy. Spider-Man, I'm a 100% completed. But side missions in general aren't really my jam, so I kind of do them out of obligation. But the side missions in this game, which I'll talk about, in further detail later on, were amazing, and I'm very happy to have spent the time playing one take. So yeah, man, I think this is spoiler free as I can get. It's great. That's really all you need to know. And if you're thinking about buying it, and you were waiting for your personal Spider-Man fanatic opinion, obviously I say get it. So now we're going to get into the spoiler section. So if you're afraid of those, which I understand, I hope you liked what you saw. Come back once you play the game yourself or watch my playthrough of it, and let's talk about some spoilers. So the tagline for this game is "Be Greater Together," and I think this game truly emphasizes the value of the together aspect, because in the first game it was just be greater, and in this game the bond between all of our characters, not just Peter and Miles, but Peter and MJ, Miles and MJ, Miles, Genki, Haley, this is, I mean, obviously Miles and his mom, but Peter and Miles' mom. Like, the connections are the core piece of this game. And obviously Peter and Miles are at the forefront of it. And I love their Spider-Man dynamic. It's not purely a mentor-mentee type thing. They're genuinely partners. Miles has done his own thing. He saved the city by himself. So it's not like Peter is in this game teaching him what he needs to know. He doesn't have the great responsibility suit where he's wearing friggin' training pads and he has to swing around with Peter. No, Miles has his own story in this game. Now, would I say that Peter is the forefront of it? Yeah, it's a Venom story at the end of the day, and obviously Peter Parker has a greater connection to the symbiote. So I'd say a big part of it is Peter Parker and his relationship to the symbiote, and his relationship to Harry and the symbiote. Look, I was about to say, oh, whoever's wearing the symbiote. This is the spoiler section, man. Harry has the symbiote at the beginning of the game. He loses it, and then he gets it back and turns into Venom. But yeah, so like even Peter Parker having this bond with the Venom symbiote, and Harry, when it was previously attached to Harry, that's a huge aspect of the game, because you got to remember, their whole bond is, we're going to heal the world. So you go from, we're going to heal the world together, and now Peter's by himself. He got the symbiote. He's like, man, I don't need y'all. I'm doing this for y'all. You don't appreciate me, so I don't need y'all. Me and the symbiote are going to do this together. We're going to be greater together. Okay? And then he takes the symbiote off. Hey, Harry, look, my bad. Harry like, I don't want to hear that. Give me back the symbiote. Venom symbiote says, we're going to be greater together, and we're going to heal the world together. You know, whatever that means for the Venom symbiote. And we'll talk about more about that in the Venom section. But this section primarily is for the Spider guys and their collective cliques. You know, MJ, Rio, Haley, Genki. That group is really the focus of this section. But I did want to emphasize that the tagline of "Be Greater Together" is truly emphasized in almost every aspect of this game. Kraven, he's not so much of "Be Greater Together," and we'll talk about that in his section, but that's what makes him a great antagonist, that he is the antithesis to that. But it's a lot more to Kraven, so we're gonna talk about Kraven in his section. But with Peter and Miles, I kind of talked about how it's not a mentor-mentee, but you know, these two men build off of each other. I mean, Miles isn't a man yet, but we see in the Prison Break mission that Peter has to pick Miles up. He has to say, look, man, you know, I know this how you feeling, and we're gonna work through this together. And he helps him, but he also gives him the space to deal with those emotions himself. But he doesn't let him like mope around, you know, which I really loved. It's a brotherly type of partnership, and I think that's better than a mentor-mentee. We got a piece of that already. They did that really well. Now let's take it to this equal footing, right? So they do that, and then later on, which is hugely important for Miles' development, he saves Peter from the symbiote, which is, by the way, one of my favorite fights in the game. It's such a emotionally gripping fight, and what they're talking about is built up so well, by the way, because like I've said, the Be Greater Together tagline is emphasized pretty well throughout the game, but it's not always emphasized well to the point where they're always together. But it's shown how they're not greater when they're separate. Peter and Miles, when they're hunting down a lizard together, they're making some progress, but you can already see the strain when Peter is like, I want to do this myself. And sure, he cures the lizard by himself, but is it as effective as if he would have done it with Miles? No. And that's the point. He's not greater. Yeah, he has this greater quote unquote bond with the Venom symbiote, which allows him to, I'd say deal with the lizard in a different way, but it also gives him some disadvantages. So it's really deep when you look at it that way. And maybe I'm just glazing, but that's the point of this series, is for me to break it down in this way. So maybe, others don't see it the same way I do. So I really love that, even if they're not like fighting together, the game is still telling you, look, they're better together. And this fight or this miscommunication or this lack of communication is always showing us these two brothers are meant to be fighting or working together. And then we see that even more, with the Venom fight, when they are fighting the symbiotes at Town Hall or the train station or the subway, excuse me. Their partnership is what really saves the city. So I really love those two together, man. Miles's character progression in this game is phenomenal. I am so happy he's the main Spider-Man, because it is about balance. And I'm not going to have a section about the balance aspect, even though it's a huge aspect of the game. But I lost my train of thought. The fact that Peter gets this break, gets that balance because of Miles is amazing. It's still them being together in the way of, look, Pete, I got you. I'm going to hold up your end, of the city while you do your thing, which was beautiful for me. And then when we, separate Peter and Miles, we still have Miles and Rio, Miles and Genki, Miles and Haley, which I just loved. I think that my favorite dynamic in this game was Miles and Rio, because I'm a mama's boy myself. So I see a man dancing with his mama. I don't really do that, but it's sweet. It's sweet. I really loved, especially the museum mission, which is beautifully done and just showed their relationship really well. Miles and Uncle Aaron. I forgot about him for a second, but his arc was really well done, and that was in part to Miles and his impact in their fight on his uncle. So that was amazing as well, to just see Miles's impact on all the people in his life. I love his relationship with Genki and Haley, not only as his best friend and his I'm assuming now girlfriend, but just like as their supporters of Spider-Man. Because you gotta remember, Miles is both of them, and these people in his life have a relationship with both Miles Morales and Spider-Man Miles. So I love that, especially Genki. He's just so, he's the GOAT, really. That Genki is just, he's so useful. And Haley communicates really well that, like, look, I know Spider-Man's your jam, but don't forget Miles Morales. Don't forget the people around you that love you. So I'm glad Miles had people like that in his corner, to really remind him of himself, especially when he's struggling with these problems with like hunting down Lee, where people misconstrued his intentions for revenge was really just protection of his family. I genuinely think it was never about revenge. I think it was always about protecting his family, but I could be misinterpreting the scene, you all let me know, or not the scene, but the storyline as a whole. You all can let me know your interpretations of that. And then when we get to Peter and MJ, I really like their relationship in this game, especially coming from the first one, where it was just so dysfunctional, obviously, because they were getting back on the horse together. But this game, they're truly partners, not in the way that MJ's gameplay is fun now, but the fact that, like, they listen to each other. And we could see how painful that strain is once Peter got the symbiote. And hell, even when MJ got the Scream symbiote. So I really love how they showed how much their dynamic improved. And one of the biggest dynamics, I feel like second place to Miles and Peter, is Peter and Harry. And that was really well done. Do I feel like the game could have been longer and we could have spent more time with Agent Venom and Venom as a whole? Of course. But what they did, the flashback to getting the flash drive, or the carnival. Yeah, I don't know if you watch my gameplay, you should. But if you do all the rides, you just get more character. I mean, all the attractions, you get more character from each of the the trio basically, and it's just so well done. The Agent Venom mission was just that was so cool. That was another great standout mission in this game that just showcased their trust in each other, Peter's mentor skills. Yeah, I did love what they did. Oh, and then EMF. I can't believe I forgot about EMF, which was just like the main heal the world type thing. And that was heartbreaking to see that literally get torn down. And just to like show the nasty bits and show what happens when our relationships get torn apart, and that's where Venom comes from. So I think I've yapped enough about how much I loved all of the different relationships in this game and how well they work together and mesh together in supporting the tagline of being greater together. But someone who is not really about being with anyone, he got his hunters, but they work for him, not with him. It's Kraven the Hunter, the greatest hunter on Earth. Man, so let's talk about Kraven. Dude, I remember what was that? Shattered Dimensions. I saw that he was a villain in that, and back then I had no respect for Kraven. I'm like, dude is just a hunter. I didn't remember anything that he did in Spectacular Spider-Man, which is my favorite Spider-Man show. Like, bro was just like not memorable to me. But maybe like a year or so before the game, like the announcement trailer came out, I started getting more respect for the man. I'm like, okay, he kind of dangerous for real, he more than just like, okay, he isn't more than just a hunter, because that's what he is, but he's so damn good at it that it makes him a huge threat to Spider-Man. And like Kraven's Last Hunt was an amazing story that I only started like actually educating myself on once the announcement trailer came out. But can we talk about that announcement trailer? Like, I was so hyped because the way Kraven was talking, he was just like, what character is he like? I can't think of the name right now, bro. But I love characters who are like looking for a worthy challenge. Like, that's just such a cool concept to me. And so in the trailer, when he's asking, look, bro, I've been looking for the right type of smoke for a long time. Please tell me you can give that to me. I was hyped. I was hyped to fight him because I knew they was going to make this man a beast. And he was. In every sense of the word, he was a hunter. Like, we saw how much he educated himself on his foes. When we're playing as Peter and going through his base, and I think that abandoned place or whatever. We're seeing how prepared he is for his adversaries, bro. And even when he's going up against somebody who you think he can't beat, like Scorpion, bro, he got stabbed and ate it. Like, he was goated. But I'm getting off track. So what I loved about Kraven, like I said, I love the trope in general of please give me somebody worthy enough to fight me. I just think that's really cool, and I like it when the villain is presented that way, because it makes our heroes kind of larger than life. Because it's just like, okay, I'm going to be the one to challenge you, even though Venom was the one that killed him, which was awesome. It does connect to the reveal trailer, because Venom was the one that responded to Kraven, not either one of the spider people. So that was awesome. Yeah, him hunting down everyone was really cool. I've seen some people on Twitter, and of course it's Twitter, but people complain that, you know, the hunters aren't really his style. And yeah, they aren't his style. But for a video game, of course, that's kind of what you need. You need minions, you need goons to fight. So I wasn't really complaining about that. But when it was just Kraven doing Kraven's thing, he was awesome. And that's why I was saying in previous sections that just because he has his hunters, it doesn't mean that he is part of the together aspect of this game. He doesn't hate his family, because he honors his family's traditions of the hunt. But when it comes to his wife and his children, he does not care, bro. He did not care that all of them are dead except his daughter. He doesn't care about his brother, the chameleon. And for all he knows, before he died, his daughter was coming to kill him too. So it's like he was singular in his desire of a worthy death. And I also really like tropes like that, where it's like, okay, I'm looking for somebody who can stand up to me, who can give me a good fight, but I also don't want to die like just anybody. That those two tropes put together are so cool, because it just shows like you see him put so much preparation into fighting these people. It is not because he's some, he is crazy, but it's not because he enjoys just straight up killing people. Just, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go to New York and I'm gonna kill everybody there because I want to. No, I'm gonna go to New York and I'm gonna see if there's anybody there that can give me the worthy death I'm looking for. Because y'all ain't provided me with anybody worth killing me. So it was such an interesting take on Kraven. Let's see, I'm trying to think of like my favorite moments for Kraven. Obviously both of his boss fights were phenomenal, really, which is probably an exaggeration, but they really were. Like, if you watch my gameplay, I was so amped to get to Kraven, because like the swing there, the symbiote's egging you on, get this man, kill Kraven. Right before that, he kidnaps Miles and damn near tries to destroy Aunt May's home and kidnap Peter from there, and that he beats the hell out of Miles. He traps Peter. Like, this man earned that boss fight. He earned the hatred that was in Peter's voice when we go to that boss fight, when we do that boss fight. And even then, he's not easy. He's prepared. He has a whole bunch of tricks up his sleeve. The dogs were cheap. The little robot dogs that he pulled out of his butt halfway through the boss fight, those were cheap. But I think I beat them pretty easily, so I wasn't complaining during the gameplay. I'm not complaining now per se, but I'm like, Kraven, you could do better. You soft. But even the mechanic with the bell, I was not expecting that. So that was awesome. And obviously his boss fight against Venom was just so cool, because like I said, in the reveal trailer, obviously it's Venom responding to Kraven. So that was some foreshadowing. But I literally thought the Spider-Men were going to bring him in. So it was really cool to like get the main person, main organism, for lack of a better word, that Kraven affected throughout all of this. Not to even mention how he destroyed the Emily May Foundation. I can't remember everything. Like I'm talking about this and stuff comes up and I'm like, oh yeah, I should mention that. So like Emily May, he deserves to get beat up for that. And with destroying Emily May, with killing Peter, all of this riled the symbiote up even more. And so when he's finally getting the chance, on top of the hatred Harry has for him, by the way, because he's standing in the graveyard of what he knows his mother would have loved, and it was all destroyed by Kraven. His body was being healed, destroyed by Kraven. His relationship with Peter and MJ was being healed, destroyed by Kraven. Dude, that boss fight was so cathartic for the player and for Venom, because it's like, dude, you effed me over this entire game. So yeah, I'm gonna bite your head off. But he didn't go out like no wimp. When he said, if I am to die soon, I will die roaring. That's, hey, I damn near screamed with the man. Because I'm like, yes, let's make this a glorious fight. That was, oh man, I'm gonna probably rewatch that now because that was so cool. But yeah, man, Kraven, I feel like Kraven was pretty much the main antagonist of the game. You could make a case for Venom, obviously. You know, he is the poster boy, literally. But Kraven, he had most of the runtime, and he had the biggest effect on the cast as a whole, I'd say. Obviously not always directly, but you know, he touched everybody in some way, shape, or form. And obviously Venom did the same thing, but I think Kraven benefits from the longer runtime. And so yeah, his philosophy was so refreshing. And the fact, there's another thing that I'm remembering that I should have brought up earlier. The fact that he doesn't have a connection to Peter or Miles is really cool. Like I said, he's just in this for the hunt. He's in this for his death, and it's nothing personal, but he is hitting hard at personal things. So yeah, man, Kraven was one of my favorite antagonists. He just shot up my list in Spider-Man antagonists or Spider-Man villains. Like, I say probably top 5 now. Yeah, top 5 is a fair one. But if we're talking about main antagonists, we gotta talk about the poster boy. My personal favorite Spider-Man villain, the symbiote, the Clintar, the alien, the spawn of Null, Venom. Do y'all remember the game Spider-Man Friend or Foe? That was so fun back in the day. And if you haven't played it, the concept is basically, I don't remember a lot, but so I'm not going to tell you the concept, but you're going throughout, it's kind of like the Raimi-verse. It's kind of comic-y, but it's mostly inspired by the Sam Raimi movies. So you're going throughout that little universe, and you get to meet a whole bunch of Spider-Man's friends and foes I guess you guessed that by the name of the game, and you get to play as them basically, and then you fight whoever the final boss is. I don't remember the story. I just remember being able to play as whoever I liked. And one of the playable characters was Venom, and he was one of my favorite characters because who doesn't love a semi-cooler Spider-Man, you know? And that's kind of what Venom has been for me for a long time. More recently, with like the Donny Cates Venom run, that's when I got into Venom heavy, dude. That's when he became one of my top 5 Marvel characters of all time. Like, he is just, dude, if you don't know what's going on with Venom in the comics right now, watch a video, pick a comic up, watch a little synopsis on King in Black, something, dude. He is such a good character now. It's ridiculous. But I gave that whole preamble about, friend or foe, and how in Lego Marvel, what was that, the first one? I think it was the first one. Venom was such a cool character in that game too, because you can change him from a regular minifigure to a big figure. It's okay. I'm done yapping about, old Venom in older games. But I say all that to say that I've always loved Venom in different iterations, different mediums. He is just, anytime he's involved in a Spider-Man project, I'm instantly locked in. So when it was revealed that he was going to be one of the main antagonists for this game, I couldn't contain myself. I was so excited because, okay, he's not just evil Spider-Man. Yes, he has all the same abilities, blah, 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 with more abilities, which makes him so cool. But, it's just what he is at his core, which is different interpretations of Venom. There's the interpretation that Peter corrupted the symbiote. It's the interpretation that the symbiote corrupts Peter. I could go with either or for this interpretation, but one thing I noticed consistently was, one take, is that this symbiote kind of perverts what the user wants. So let's say Peter gets the symbiote. Well, we saw him get the symbiote. Peter gets the symbiote. He wants to be the hero. He wants to save everyone. He wants to make up for Aunt May dying. He wants to make up for losing all these people. And the symbiote hones in on that heavy, as we can see when we went into his mind with Martin Lee. It's just that's what his main focus is. But then he starts getting a little backlash from the people in his life, and he gets defensive. Which we saw with that one scene where Harry and MJ are like, yo, you got to get that off. And he's like, I'm doing my MFing best. I'm that nigga, and y'all don't appreciate me. Which I'm sure is what he felt. But the point of the symbiote, at least in this game, is to kind of sometimes pervert feelings, and other times intensify other feelings. So if Peter's feeling unappreciated, he gonna say, I'm the hero here, not you. Okay? And we see it when he's feeling angry, he's gonna say, I'm gonna kill you instead of this whole great responsibility nonsense. So that was really interesting, seeing Peter getting broke down like that, which is another aspect of why I love any symbiote arc, because Peter is such a paragon of hope of a hero. He's like, I'm gonna do the right thing, I'm gonna keep the bad guy alive, reform, blah blah blah. But we all have a dark side, and that was a huge thing I noticed. Well, not noticed, but developers talked about in interviews and stories and stuff like that, or articles, was all of these characters embracing their dark side, which I think is important for a story to tell, especially when you have heroes like Peter Parker, like Miles Morales, where you see them being so positive all the time. And obviously Miles doesn't get the symbiote in this game, but he does have his own darkness to kind of address. But I love seeing Peter being a little bit more brutal. I love seeing Bully Urine. Hold on, let me say his name right. Bully Lowy. What is his name? Yuri Lowenthal. Okay, I mixed up his first and last name. Bully Lowenthal. Okay, I loved seeing him. It hurt my heart to see him, but he was also just really cool. And sometimes I love the super heroic hero, and sometimes I love the really edgy one that just hates everything and is mad at everybody. So it's always nice to get a little mix up from Peter. And then before I talk about Venom, I want to talk about Scream, who was obviously a product of Venom, but we also see that dark side for MJ too, which is really interesting for me because I've always connected well with Peter, right? And I'm sure there are women out there that connect very well with MJ, and not to say that one gender has to connect well with the same one. You know, I'm sure there are women out there that connect well with Peter and vice versa with MJ. But my point is, seeing the symbiote on MJ, that was new for me. I think there was one show that put a symbiote on her. I could be wrong. I didn't watch it. I seen clips on online. But this was the first time I've seen a symbiote on MJ. And this type of symbiote is saying, you a bum. And my life sucks because of you. And that's really interesting to see from the other side. Because we're playing Peter and we're saying these mean things to the people we care about. And it's like, damn, that hurts. But then we're fighting someone that we care about who's infested with this symbiote, and they're saying hurtful things. I'm like, damn, that hurts. But it connects. So while the symbiote isn't doing anything that's like factually wrong, yes, Peter is the hero. Yes, he can't keep a job. Yes, MJ has to suffer because Peter can't keep a job because of Spider-Man. It's still harsh. And that's like the harsh reality with the symbiote, is that like it's accurate, but that's not the right way to present that information. So that was really cool seeing that from MJ in this game, because it makes you look at, well, hell, it made me look at myself and in my life and what I'm doing, how I'm affecting the people in my life with tendencies that, you know, I may not even notice, or I'm aware of them, but I'm not aware of the effect that it has on the people in my life. Like Peter, you know, he knows he can't keep a job to save his life, but he did not know how heavily and deeply that impacted MJ. So I really appreciated and liked how they put that on the other foot. You know, after we had our time in the sun or in the darkness of being just a butthole to everybody we love. But obviously the main event of this section is Venom, the GOAT, my favorite Spider-Man villain, as I already said. And I just loved his inclusion in this game. I wanted so much more. Not to say I was disappointed with what we got, but I was literally like, you know, it's just something that's so good. I want more and more and more. I want as much time as Craven got. I want an extra 10 hours with Venom being our villain, right? But where do I even start with this? You know, the slow corruption of the symbiote was really, really cool. Once Peter said, destroy us, I was like, oh yeah, that's Venom. At that point, that's Venom. And then everything just went downhill from there. That's when Peter started talking about killing people and yelling at Rio Morales. It was bad. But when Harry got the symbiote, it was set up really well because, you know, we know how the symbiote is affecting Peter. But all Harry's thinking is like, damn, my friend is being sucky to me right now. He could get this thing off. And he's not. And then when he does get it off, you're about to destroy the only thing keeping me alive? What the hell, dude? You know, I thought we was boys. And he obviously, Harry wasn't in his right mind either, even before he got the symbiote. But it's like, you can put yourself in his shoes, and like, you can tell that he felt betrayed, and it's kind of valid from his point of view. Obviously, as a player, we know better, and we know that he can't have this thing, or he's going to turn into what he turned into. And playing as Venom was the best moment in gaming of the year, of the last 10 years. Just like when I said earlier in the beginning of this section that he's a cooler Spider-Man, the cooler, edgier Spider-Man, that's what that felt like. You had similar abilities, but you were killing people. You were snapping people's backs, bro. Like, it was so cool. And then I already talked about the boss fight with Craven, so I won't tread ground I already did, but you know, obviously you heard that I enjoyed that. And then what really cemented just how cool this Venom was for me, because I knew just from seeing pictures the physicality of Venom was going to be on point. He was going to be a true intimidating presence, right? But I wanted to know what the symbiote was like, because one of my favorite dynamics in the comics, and obviously it's a different host, is how the symbiote interacts with Eddie Brock. So seeing how the symbiote interacted with Harry was really cool and something I was looking forward to. And like I said, it perverts what the user wants. So he wants to heal the world. So let's connect the dots here. Harry wants to heal the world. He gets the symbiote. Symbiote says heal the world. But his version of healing the world is infecting everybody. Why is it infecting everybody? Because when it got into Harry, it was healing him. So of course, once he gets into the person he was healing, he was like, let's do what I did for you, what I'm doing for you. Let's do that for everybody. And Harry's like, yeah, that's a good idea because you did that for me. It's such a perversion, but it's also not so off base that it makes sense for that character. Like I said, Harry and Venom aren't off base completely. They're not, like 100% wrong, but they're wrong enough to be the antagonist. They're wrong enough for us to say, okay, you got to stop. They're wrong enough for Harry to say, okay, this has to stop. But I really love that, how they connected Harry and the Venom symbiote's desires to make them one. Because yes, they are healing, but they're hurting. And people on Twitter were like, oh, this Venom's so one note. I told myself I wasn't going to bring up Twitter, but that part really irked me, because it's just like, no, he isn't. He wants to help people, but it's, like I said, it's wrong, but it's right. Right intentions, wrong action to do so, or whatever. So that is what makes Venom so cool for me. That connection. And then his connection, while still the Venom symbiote, with Peter, because they both have a connection to him. They're both like, yo, you effed us over, dude. We was cool, and you abandoned me. This is Harry talking. You abandoned me so you could go off and be a hero. And then the symbiote's like, yeah, and you let that other Spider-Man take us away. Okay. When I say us, I got confused because I said us, because technically Venom is both of them. But you get what I'm saying, dude. You get what I'm saying. It's like, when you're fighting them, you can obviously tell which is the more dominant. Who is the one saying this thing? Is it Harry saying, we met here at this high school, we became best friends? And is it Venom saying, hey, you let Miles tear us apart from each other? You know what I mean? So that was really cool. And the way that they manipulated their desire for them to be together, but not in the sense like in previous media, Peter Parker would be like, okay, yeah, give me back the Venom symbiote, and then Venom would betray his host, which is typically Eddie. I like that they didn't do that. Like, Venom stuck with Harry, but it was still this thing of, I want all of us to be together. And hell, he was even with Miles before the final fight. He was like, come on, bro, come on, let's all be together. You want to just be together. So that scene with Miles, by the way, while he's swinging through that swirling symbiote world, was so damn cool. But this section is getting pretty long, so I'm gonna wrap it up by just saying everything with Venom was amazing. I just wish we had more. And I'm not gonna discuss certain things that came out from unofficial sources, but hey, we'll see what the future holds. And yeah, so Venom was definitely my favorite part of the game, I'd have to say. And I can't wait to see what else they do potentially with any symbiote, wink wink, carnage. But those were like the main sections of the game I wanted to talk about. We're gonna get some extra stuff out the way, just because there's a lot of stuff that isn't just those four, Peter Parker, Miles Morales, Kraven, and Venom. There's a lot more I want to talk about, side missions, stuff like that. So let's get into that. So to end out this video, I just wanted to talk, maybe quickly, maybe not quickly, about my top 3 favorite parts of the game. So just to get straight into it, my third favorite part was the entire side mission for the museum, for the cultural museum. I think that was really well done. Obviously the missions were whatever, but the ending of the mission. So what I'm referring to is when you finally catch the guy who is responsible for stealing all the stuff, and it turns out to be the guy who was supposed to be the sponsor. I forget the term for whatever he was gonna be, but when it turned out to be him, and it's like, what? And then he's like, well, my father built this shit, and Miles is telling him, like, that's good for your pops, but that ain't got nothing to do with you, and that don't give you the right to steal from these people. And for me, it just connected really well, because this is a part of my history, part of my culture, and I actually learned a lot of stuff. But even like separating it from myself, millions of people played this game, right? Even if half of the millions, not just a million, not two, multiple millions of people, it was one of the best-selling games for a while. If even half of those people completed that side mission and explored all the stuff that museum had to offer, they learned more about black culture, music culture, how black people contributed to that culture. So I just really love that a huge studio like Insomniac, who knows that their game's gonna sell well, put something like that in the game. And it was a really great way for like Miles to connect with his community, because we got to see Spider-Man again, the cat. I think Teo, the deli owner. We got to see him. It was just a nice community event that gave you the option to like go around and talk to people from previous games, and new people, and people in relation to previous games. So it was just a lot of good stuff that relates to Spider-Man, the community aspect that relates to Miles, how he relates to this cultural museum, for his mom, and her political campaign. This also affects her. So for this all to work out for everybody, and for the player to get to learn more about real life figures, for the game to acknowledge these real life figures, in a game that isn't released during Black History Month, because that's when a lot of companies kind of push the point. And not to say that's like a bad thing or anything, but like the fact that this game can be enjoyed by anyone at any time throughout the year is really, really nice. So that's why that made it to my top 3, just because it was such a nice push for in a cultural aspect. And so for my second favorite part of the game, I'm gonna have to go with playing as Venom. And I know it's such a gigantic leap in quality for a lot of people, but that just kind of goes to show how much playing as Venom meant for me, and how much the cultural museum meant for me as well, because it's just that was real powerful for me. But playing as Venom is like come on, dude, do I really even need to explain this segment, this aspect of why this is one of my favorite parts? No, I don't, but I'm still going to anyway, because it was like I saw a whole bunch of posts before the game came out saying, oh, we better be able to play as Venom. And Insomniac has dealt with a lot of toxic fans, And while I would have loved to have played as Venom, before the game had came out, I was thinking, if we get to play as him, cool. If we don't, that's cool too. And so when we get to the scene and it looked like the camera was like positioning itself behind Venom, I was really trying not to get my hopes up. But then when they said press square to attack, oh my goodness. Excuse me. If my family wasn't asleep at the time, I would have screamed a scrump that would have woke up the entire neighborhood, because it was so damn cool. Like that's the biggest part about it, was just the rule of cool part about it. You're playing as Venom, the lethal version of Spider-Man. All of his buttons still work, but they kill people. You snap people's neck. You biting their heads off. Yeah, like it was. Like I said, it was cool. I can only say it so many times, but it was also really interesting to get early viewings into how this Venom symbiote interacts with people. While we're killing all these people, you're talking to Norman Osborn, and we're getting, and he's like, oh, we can make you feel better, blah blah blah. So it was just really interesting to see how his father, who is the reason Harry even came in contact with the symbiote, was reacting to it, quote unquote, taking over in this way. And obviously getting to kill Kraven as Venom was really amazing. It was cathartic. It was earned. I expanded on this in both of their previous sections, but like, Kraven worked for his death, and he made it so that the characters hated him, and I feel as though Insomniac did a good job in making it so that the players wanted to take this guy out too, and who better than Venom? You're embracing that darkness in this game, and for once you don't have to feel bad about it. You don't have to feel bad about wanting to kill the bad guy, because you're not playing as a hero. You're playing as the lethal protector. So that was really great that they let us kill him as Venom. And the scene after that with the illusion of healing the world or taking over the world was just a really great way of showing us how the symbiote twists Harry's intentions. So all in all, the gameplay was amazing. The surprise factor was amazing. Killing Kraven was amazing. And the motivations of the symbiote being put into full light as Venom were amazing. So that's why that makes it into my second spot. And my favorite part of the game, something I knew was going to happen probably from the first trailer, but didn't want to happen, was Peter versus Miles. I love the whole build up for it. We're flying, or we're gliding over to Kraven's place, kill Kraven. We actually fight Kraven, which was really well done. And again, glad we did it in the symbiote, because the symbiote has been probably the most affected by Kraven. So I'm glad we did it in the symbiote. But then Miles is there to save Peter. And just think, Peter is the one who saves people. That's what he said to MJ. I'm the hero, not you. So to be put in a position where he still thinks he's doing good, but he depends on who you ask. Killing Kraven may or may not be good. That's a conversation for another time. But obviously he's going against his own moral code, and Miles sees that whatever this suit is twisting him. So that just goes to show that their brotherhood bond is really strong, and it's to the point where Miles is able to stand up to Peter, because Peter is a mentor. He's a brother, but he's a mentor. He was the first Spider-Man. So for Miles to stand up to one of his mentors, which we've seen him do with Uncle Aaron, but this is a different type of relationship. So for him to stand up for him, to say, look, dude, I see the path you're going down. It's not good. And I'm going to help you out of it, even if I got to beat the mess out of you. That seems to be how Miles deals with his family members that just, don't want to listen to reason. Beat up Prowler, beat up Peter. Who's next, Genki? So yeah, it was really fun. And it was just emotional for the player as well. because again, this is towards the end of the game, so you're spending all this time with these two characters. But the thing is, they grow separate throughout the story. You know, at the beginning of the game, they're tight. You know, they're a unit, and then you get towards the middle-ish, you know, Act 2. Because I would say getting the symbiote off of Peter is the end of Act 2. So the beginning of Act 2, and like, damn, their rift is just too big. And then it gets to the point where not even Miles can help Peter get out of the symbiote. And also, Peter wasn't calling Miles. They weren't talking. Communication was terrible, in part because of Peter and the symbiote. So that was also like built up really well. That frustration aspect of, look, bro, you're supposed to be here for me. I could be here for you. I'm here for you right now. But you talking about how this symbiote made you blah, blah, blah. You can't even answer my calls. So what's really going on? You know, so that was kind of good for them to confront each other, for them to get it all out in the open, and afterwards for Peter to show that appreciation and do better to make up for that lost time, to make up for that mistreatment of, in this sense, or in this conversation, Miles was really well done. And obviously the fight was hard for me anyway, and it was so cool being on the other foot. You know, he's shooting webs, I'm shooting webs. I'm like, stop shooting webs at me. And now I can kind of imagine how the bad guys are when, we're shooting webs at them. So I'm so glad they included that. They included all of his abilities. I think I just ate, and it's like I'm talking a lot, so it's coming up. My bad. But yeah, they include all his abilities. The voice lines were great. The aftermath was great when they're talking, and Peter thanks Miles because he needed his friend. He didn't need. Obviously he needed both of them, right? But he needed Peter, Miles Morales, and Spider-Man. But Miles is the one that's talked to him and saved him. Because at the end of the day, Miles did not rip that symbiote off of him. That was for Peter to do, which that was another huge thing that I saw developers talk about, is that they wanted these characters to kind of rip it off themselves, just like MJ did with Scream. So that was all those factors together. Something I knew that was going to happen, my most anticipated part of the game, and they did it flawlessly, and that's how or why it is my favorite part of Spider-Man 2. And with that, we're at the end of this video. I'm so glad you made it here. Thank you so much. If you watched the full thing, if you watched certain segments, if you literally skipped to the end, I appreciate you for clicking on this video. I'm sorry it took forever to come out. I got distracted playing a certain game of the year. You know, maybe that certain game of the year will get a video on it. Who knows? But as for Spider-Man and as for this video, again, thanks for clicking on it. The content should be pumped out a lot faster now, but no promises. And yeah, I'm really bad at outros now, man. I guess that's I'm terrible at this. Look, man, again, thanks for clicking on the video. We're gonna get some more videos out. I still want to do God of War. That may just be layered further down the pipeline. Horizon Forbidden West. That game is on my mind. You guys may see that coming to the channel soon. But yeah, man, I'm gonna finish up yapping here. That's kind of what this whole video has been. But I hope now you understand why I love Spider-Man 2.